During a usability test, the UX practitioner observes the user interact with the prototype product. The practitioner observes users attempt to perform certain assigned tasks, a real-world use scenario, and then collects data on the thoughts and actions of the user as they attempt to navigate towards task completion. This type of testing provides the practitioner with great qualitative and quantitative data into the design and also user feedback. Further, the test session strengthens the case for user testing, as stakeholders are able to view and understand the importance of the testing process. Usability testing can be broken down into two main types. Either the test is performed on an existing system that needs to be improved, or it will be performed on a system in development that requires more input on the evolving design. By involving users in the process, the designer is reducing risk in the decision making, as the users act as a safety in double-checking the approach outlined towards solving the design problems identified. Most important, usability testing will lead to a report with a large number of design recommendations. All of the best designs aren't just created at random, but they are a result of iterative refinement with expert analysis and user involvement. In order to make effective observations of a user, the user must be open to discuss and provide feedback about the problems and issues they encounter throughout the tasks. They can only do this if they are relaxed, so the UX practitioner must strive to create and maintain such an environment. The best way to do this is to maintain an ongoing and easygoing conversation with the user. When the user is relaxed and ready to go, the UX practitioner needs to make certain types of observations throughout the test. Here are some examples. Was the product effective at detecting errors? Was the product effective at recovering from errors? Are conventions used in the product easy to remember? How enjoyable was the task to accomplish? How difficult was the task for the user? Why was the user unsuccessful in any given step? While observing the users perform a task, there can come a step at which the user becomes confused and unable to proceed to the next step in the task. At such a point, the user may begin to ask questions such as, should I click this icon? Remember, it is important to not lead the user to task completion, so the solution is to attempt to redirect the user. An example of a redirection comment in which a host can use is, what do you believe you should do? Or, what's your best guess? The user might reply, I'm not really sure, but I think the icon makes most sense. Redirection comments are important because users attempt to get the researcher to answer the questions. Using redirection comments 2 or 3 times will shift the focus back on the users and steer the conversation towards having the users make the important decisions. Attempt to use different redirection comments so as to not make it obvious that you are redirecting the conversation. If the user still has difficulty, after redirecting to them 2 or 3 times, the researcher may have no choice but to close the step. Sometimes it is important to help the user complete a step in order to make sure that they are able to complete the task. It does not make sense to sit idly by for a long time if a user is blocked on a step and cannot proceed further. The UX practitioner can intervene by making a statement such as, how about we stop working on this troublesome step, move forward in the process, and come back to review the problem after the test session. Anything resembling an examination or a test can make some people uncomfortable or nervous. The UX practitioner should strive to create a calm and relaxing environment. To do this, the UX practitioner should converse with the user about the rules and expectations of the test session. By providing instructions, the user's grasp of the situation will improve, and consequently, user confidence and overall comfort should increase as well. Users that are comfortable and calm are more likely to act as they would in a real-life situation. Users that are not comfortable may show unusual behavior within the exam environment, and that behavior will certainly not provide realistic data. For this reason, the session will need to begin with an overview of the rules. Once the session begins, remember to ask the user to think aloud and then observe them quietly as they go on about the task. Attempt not to intervene, even if they have difficulties. The best response is to attempt to use open-ended questions to attempt to have the user think through the problem and figure out the correct path themselves. As a last resort, step in to help, but review the source of the confusion at the end of the session. Some participants will fly through the tasks and have no issues. Others will talk a lot. Still, others will have a very tough time. Some users will provide a wealth of information, whereas others will provide little useful information. Every user is different. Here is a sample to-do list of things to go over before, during, and after the test. Before the test session, check that the prototype is ready to be accessed. Check audio and/or screen recording equipment. Prepare the script. And clear any history from the previous session. And during the test session, you have to welcome the user, request the user to sign a non-disclosure agreement and to sign that they are okay with being filmed, provide the incentive, start the recording device, and summarize the purpose, process, and the plan of the session. Tell the user that they are not being tested, that the design is. Encourage honesty and state that it is okay to express criticism and negative thoughts. Encourage users to express their thoughts verbally as they interact with the prototype. Explain that the recordings are strictly for the purpose of product improvement. Ask the users whether or not they have any questions. State that there are no right or wrong answers. State that the user does not have to answer something that they don't want to answer. State that the user is free to leave at any point they wish. And lastly, follow the plan and script. So that's a lot to do, but those are some ideas. And after the test session, we want to stop recording devices and save the recordings, save all the notes, and then review all the information that was gathered.